The top 50,000 people in this country, they hide their money overseas in tax havens in trusts. They put them in trust. So when you put something in trust, it doesn't belong to you anymore. The government can't get at it and you don't have to pay tax. So I thought, well, we can use the same system of putting our taxes in trust in this country on condition that none of the money will be used for criminal purposes, in particular war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, warfare. One of the things I had discovered in relation to the laws of war was that we had signed up to the UN Charter in 1945, and now there are 195 nations have agreed never to threaten or use force and to settle all disputes peacefully. Those are the primary agreements of the UN Charter. Britain, of course, just doesn't agree with any of it. It is a criminal offence to pay tax, knowing that some of the money will be used for a criminal purpose. You are committing a crime of aiding and abetting genocide and so on. If you can prove to me that tax is excluded from the offences in sections 15 to 17 of the Terrorism Act, and Section 52 of the International Criminal Court Act, then I will pay the tax. They can't prove that because there is nothing in the law and plenty of evidence and precedents to say, yes, this does apply to the British government. The Supreme Court case, for instance. Well, we've got to use the same system they use against us, against them. We have a method of ensuring that you can do that entirely lawfully. It's a 4-page document which goes into the detail of setting up a personal trust related to your tax. It's called a Declaration of Sovereignty and Deed of Discretionary, Revocable, Conditional Trust and Withdrawal of Consent to Illegal or Mandatory Taxation. You sign one of these bits of paper and it says, okay, I'm putting my council tax into trust. So I'll pay £2,000, whatever it is, council tax. I put it in trust, but it's on condition that you meet my conditions. And if you meet my conditions, you can have the money and my trustee will hand it over to you. And if you don't meet the conditions by the last day of the financial year, this is revoked and the money goes to the secondary beneficiary. And the secondary beneficiary is you. And they come back to me and say, well, none of it is used for criminal purposes. And I said, well, you don't even know your own process. When I pay the money to the council, that account of the council is owned by the government. It's not yours as councillors. It goes into, along with about maybe 3,000 other accounts, is the total amount of money that's called the Consolidated Fund. And that has been the case since 1787. Every tax, capital gains tax, VAT, income tax, 230 different sources of money that go into the Consolidated Fund. It applies to all of them. I did get a parking ticket somewhere in Hastings, and I wrote to them and said, look, no, I'm not going to pay it because it's a criminal offence, Section 52 of the International Criminal Court Act, and it's a criminal offence for you to ask for it. And I got a polite letter back saying, on this occasion, we will not carry out. They can't raise any tax if you don't consent to it. Think about your responsibilities to the running of the country. And we do have responsibilities, you know, homeschooling, for instance. I'm supporting a homeschooling unit in Sussex called Hope. I put some money into that to make sure that I'm starting to show that I'm not just refusing it in order to make money for me, but I actually want to contribute to a better world. We can reverse the control in this country from the government controlling us to us controlling the government. We've got to not just accept what's happening to us or escape from it, but we've actively got to push back at them. Having done this, you have a legal duty not to pay the money over. And that is very important. In a democracy, we are in charge. We are sovereign. It's not Parliament, it's not the government, it's not the monarch, it's us. And it's time to take back our power and start to say, no, I refuse, I will not do this. You declare your sovereignty every time you take an action. So you must reassert it every day in some way or another. And the best way of doing it is through non-payment of tax for criminal purposes. Tax rebellion has been the single most important principle underlying all the successful rebellions in history. Magna Carta started with a tax rebellion, and the same with the English Civil War, American independence, French Revolution, the Russian Revolution, Gandhi's salt tax rebellions, the Glasgow women's rent strike in 1915, and the poll tax in late 80s. The key issue is to take back our power. We have the power all the time, every one of us, to stop giving our consent to what's going on. Every time you pay tax, you give your tacit consent to how the money will be spent by the government. So stop paying it.